Welcome to this special edition of The Heat, coming to you from the United Nations in New York. It's been an extraordinary day here in New York. Some of the world's most powerful leaders have been addressing the General Assembly at the United Nations. One of those leaders was Chinese leader Xi Jinping. For more on President Xi's speech, let's go now to our correspondent, CCTV reporter Nathan King. And Nathan, what were some of the key points in President Xi's speech?
Well, it was a short and snappy one, lots to go over, and basically calling for a new model of international relations whereby the big powers don't dominate the smaller powers, that they're treated on an equal footing. Also, a real call for a multipolar world. He basically said that it was inevitable that no one power would dominate, including China. But in terms of headlines for the United Nations, very strong added contributions to peacekeeping. China, of course, is the biggest contributor of troops to UN peacekeeping of the permanent 5 members of the Security Council, and as well as offering $1 billion in peace and development aid, an offer of 8,000 troops ready to go on any UN peacekeeping mission within weeks, a police force, civilian police force for the UN, ready to go at a moment's notice as well, and then a pledge to the African Union, $100 million to let them get ready to deploy a rapid reaction force, and that has been slow in coming. Also, aside from that, he's pledging a helicopter unit and other things as well as training for other peacekeepers around the world. But it was really also about China setting its stamp on where they think the 21st century architecture is going. And they were reassuring the world body that despite China's rapid rise, that China does not seek to be the dominant power, doesn't even want to carve out a sphere of influence geographically, and basically call for a new model when it comes to international relations.
We are ready to share our development experience and opportunities with other countries, and we welcome other countries to board China's express train of development so that all of us will achieve common development.
China really putting itself at the center of the debate here about the architecture of the 21st century international relations, Anand.
Nathan, U.S. President Barack Obama, as well as President Putin of Russia, also addressed the General Assembly. What did they have to say?
Yeah, totally contrasting speeches. You know, we're talking about a multipolar Monday, very different views of the world, as you can imagine, not just over Syria and Ukraine. The U.S. basically admitting that it cannot go alone, learning the lessons from Iraq, but also U.S. President Barack Obama admitting that they left a vacuum over Libya. Now, we had obviously Russian President Putin come here, his first appearance here in a decade, and he really slammed the West about intervention and accused the West of basically creating the vacuum that led to ISIL taking over vast swathes of Syria and, of course, Iraq as well. And as you know, Russia and Iran and Iraq have formed an intelligence sharing area. They want to create their own coalition to fight ISIL, also keep Bashar al-Assad in power in Syria as a bulwark against terrorism. This doesn't quite fit the US-Russian relationship. They've had a summit behind me that lasted over 90 minutes. I've just seen the US President Barack Obama's motorcade leave. We'll have to work out whether they found any common ground, but it's not hopeful.
Thanks, Nathan. That's CCTV reporter Nathan King reporting.